point for us. I really want them to just let Phoenix go.
Yeah.
And I want to see what Trick does. Because if Trick at some point says, you know what, we're actually okay with him and we pick him, it would be pretty fun to see. So we have seen a lot of focus on it from the perspective from ADRD, but it hasn't really worked out.
I mean, knowing Tricked, Leoric, Planet Cracker, they would pull it off.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
that would come out for them. I actually think Phoenix has some decent value in this battleground too because of the minion phase. His AoE ability is great for clearing, but also sniping away minions where people are prepping them. So I do expect him, again, to have some priority in this draft. Let's go ahead and move into it, though, as we gear up for Infernal Shrines. Potentially the last map. If Trick is able to pull it off, we'll see if Zealots can tie it in the series, and we go to a game number 5.
So Infernal Shrines is a map that Trick has chosen a lot. This is the 6th time now that they have chosen it. They have a 3-7 track record on the map. So not really the biggest win ratio. Again, they struggled a bit during the entire 2018 season so far. But yeah, 3 wins, 7 losses for them. From the Zealots perspective, it's also not really a great map for them. 2 wins and 4 losses. Both teams are sitting around a 30% win ratio. The Diablo ban has been a very consistent theme for Zealots. For Tricked, it was Medivh. So at this point, we have, again, Medivh taken away from ADRD, which is one of the main thought processes here. And after the first game, where Zealots had huge problems with Diablo, they started banning it out against Ramaballer. Now we find ourselves again in the spot where the Zealots could first pick Phoenix if they wanted. And this time, they're actually waiting a lot longer. It's like, is that really worth first picking?
They're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
They're not the only ones. I'm excited too. I want to see if they say, no, it's still the way to go. We can still make this work. Or if they say, well, maybe we overestimated the impact a bit.
Hanzo's also an option, man. I feel like if you take that away from Church Esports.
They played so much Hanzo as well.
Yeah. Yes.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay. Good. So Phoenix already starting to drop in priority in this series. So now the question.
Gul'dan.
I was more asking if now
if they're going to take
picks
Phoenix.
It. Exactly. It's Trick picking it. But yeah, Gul'dan, of course, is another big one. Are we going to see Crosby on Gul'dan once more?
Tricked?
This is just
liberating. Yeah. It's a cool thing about our new hero coming out, being available for the weekend. Where has it changed things up? This is where we get to learn for a weekend. So while you guys are learning, Caldor and I are also learning and trying to take this all in.
I mean, think about Blaze. When Blaze came in, everybody was like, meh.
Yeah.
Meh. Blaze doesn't have anything. Then we had the first teams starting to play with him. He had everything from wave clear to also the teamfight potential in the bunker, and all of a sudden Blaze was everywhere. And this is the exact opposite. Everybody expected Phoenix to be just super dominant, banned out all the time, and now we're in a spot where the Zealots don't even think he's first pick worthy anymore. But Tricked is now going to show us what they can do when they have access to him. So I'm super hyped to see now Tricked with Phoenix. Can they have more of an impact with the hero? Do they maybe play also a completely different build than what we've seen from the Zealots?
Well, Zealots go straight into a bit of a mix-up for them. They grab Hanzo, Maev, and Stukov, which means we won't be getting that double support type of play that we normally get, as Maev is typically played by ADRD. So they'll be looking for their own aggressive fights and their own aggressive engage against Phoenix. So it seems like that's the theme. Find a way to get on top of Phoenix. That's the way you break him down, as all of our teams are kind of drafting around that idea.
Yeah, and Maev is now Maev in Europe is very interesting because she's roughly sitting at 50%. We have 6 wins with her and 7 losses. If you consider today's games as well, then Maev has now picked up a little bit more momentum today. She has 2 wins, one's on the side of Zealots, one on the side of Tricked. So that would put her onto an 8-7 track record, slightly above 50%. But yeah, she's been played by most teams so far. And it's a very interesting hero for me, since a lot of people, even after the nerfs, expected her to be more dominant in drafts, and we see this a bit more recently by other teams outside of Team Liquid. Since Team Liquid is still the one team that we have in Europe that has the majority of the Maev plays. They have played Maev 7 times, so that's half the games of Europe on that hero. So super interesting to see her now gaining a bit more priority. Just like these small and subtle meta shifts are super fun to watch.
Well, Zealots ban out Blaze to make sure that protection isn't available for Phoenix. Also a hero that Alex's been showing off pretty often. So I'm kind of curious to what he's going to move into. Maltheo could still be an option to kind of deal with the tank play they'll get picked later on. And also being able to break out of Maev when you get that level 13 talent is always great. But at the other side, you want to have some protection for that Phoenix. Will we possibly get that Tyrael? We talked about it in game number 1. For now, we'll wait for the pick for Alex Proji later on, as we're going to get Genji and a Nubrak instead.
Okay, again on this Genji, and also the bug is back. So that's going to be a big one.
Good.
I also want to quickly highlight something else. We talked about Zealots, how they want to win the series because in the match score they're trying to attack the number 2 seed that we have in Europe, which is Fnatic. But at the same time, from Team Liquid's perspective and also Method, it's actually fantastic that Zealots already lost 2 maps. Because even if the Zealots turn it around again, they would only add an additional 1 point on their map score. So this is something where both Liquid and Method, depending on how the rest of the season goes, would be in a position where they can all of a sudden overtake Zealots. So from their perspective, them watching, they're looking at this and they're like, this is already amazing. If Zealots lose, it's great for us. But even if they win this, they are not getting too far ahead of us as long as we pull off our own results. And you get another wish granted, as it seems here.
The variant comes out, the shield breaker to help deal with Phoenix. So curious to see how Trick Esports intends to handle that. Leoric comes out to help out with the wave clear department, and also we get the Entombs. We'll see if Alex Aprogi is able to slow down Sonya here, who is going to aim to be a bully in that lane.
Leoric comes out to make them all suffer again. On Inferno Shrines, yeah, great wave clear.
I suffered for that joke.
Huh?
I suffered for that joke, man.
You suffered through the joke.
I suffered through it. Oh, the suffering. It hurts. I'm so suffered right now. Game number 4 here. Will we have a spot with this draft for Zealots to be able to tie it up?
Okay, if you... No, I have a different thing. If you would be a Disney character, you would be Goofy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Probably.
Now you have to give me one.
If you were to be is there a Disney character?
I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
Oh my gosh, I'll have to think about that one. Why don't you guys at home let us know?
Oh, come on!
Hit us up on Twitter. Use the hashtag HGC at Heroes Esports. What will Caldor be if he was a Disney character? I think... have you seen Lilo and Stitch?
No. I dodged that one.
Oh my god, he just
okay,
damaged me so hard.
by the way,
oh
this guy
you have
hasn't watched Shawshank Redemption.
You haven't seen Lilo and Stitch, so.
This guy has not watched Shawshank Redemption.
Lilo and Stitch. There's a guy, there's an FBI agent.
I mean, I've seen so many clips of Lilo and Stitch, you basically know the story.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
so you know the FBI agent with the big old limo that comes around and tries to take away the daughter away from the aunt?
That doesn't
That's
really
you. But that's a Disney character.
That totally doesn't seem like a character that is valid putting out there.
Fine, you can be Gaston. You know you want to be Gaston.
Okay, now you're going to power.
What? That's awesome.
Boys and girls, let's focus a bit on the game at hand here as Tricked is going up against Zealots for the 4th time in this series, and Tricked has match point. They're in the lead here to the left with Mark on Genji, Crosby on Phoenix, Remabola on Anuburak, Alex on Leoric, and Gran Paquete on Malfurion.
We're going to get ready for Hawaiian Ride as we move into game number 4. Zarmany playing Sonya, ADRD on Maiev, Shad on Stukov, Chris on Hanzo, and Mopsio. The showcase variant.
Yeah. Crosby also holding back his level 1 talent, currently asking his teammates, so what do I take on one of this hero?
What's that build?
What's that build? Oh, yeah, I remember. So, advanced targeting. Yeah,
so Q build.
Pretty much the standard again. We talked about this already from the Zealots perspective when they were picking the heroes throughout the last 3 games. That's definitely one of the staples that we currently see on level 1 for him. We might see a few more different builds coming into play as other teams pick the hero, but so far the build for Phoenix in competitive play seems to be, with a few variations, pretty much locked down.
And then lockdown. Always must play from the Maiev. We'll watch ADRD, who's actually one of the first Maievs to showcase what she can do in the Western Clash, and she's showcasing what she can do now. A Silence comes out, ADR controls the point, bucks a little bit, also applies a tether, and a Nubarak gets taken out easily by the Zealots.
I mean, there's in general just a lot of potential for Zealots to get these early kills. But also when we're talking about a tether into a Silence, after level 4, you want to, of course, build that momentum with Varian and get the taunt. And if you have a Varian and Stukov combination, there is a lot you can do with that. Just really get the taunt in, get the Silence, and then try to deliver the add-on damage. So that's what Tricked has to be really careful about. And this is what they are going to have to watch out for. They have to respect that. When level 4 comes in, Varian is going to be that guy that between level 4 and level 10 in particular is going to gain a lot of momentum where he can try and interrupt rotations and get those isolation kills.
Those taunts, man, will be something that Trick Esports will definitely want to try and deal with. Roots will help out. Being able to root the target, or at least behind Varian, will allow for Trick Esports to get through that initial impact of damage and try to escape. Crosby already having his shields deleted here.
Really quickly at that, yeah.
Yeah, the arrows and Mopsio as well, just clean that up. Being able to bring out that auto attack.
Alright, so for now, Crosby just helping out with his AoE a bit. They're still trying to go for the camp here. Level 4 comes in. And that's, of course, taunt for Varian. No surprise here. And for Phoenix, also now level 4. Slight deviation. Again, this is basically what Chris started with as we headed into the series. So trying to get the additional movement speed when you attack slow targets. All about chasing down heroes. Big engage here into the backline. Mopsio is in trouble on his Variant. He's not as survivable anymore as in the past. But the silence is absolutely spot on from Shad. The counter kill against Variant, though, after Anubarak fell. But here we have Stukov dying too. Marke barely moving out. The camp stolen away by Zealots earlier, but they paid a price. They lost 2.
The silence and the tether. 4 members of Trick Esports getting locked down by the Maiev, but as you mentioned, the kills come out anyways as Trick Esports ties up the kills 2-2. Now, the battle bar is picked up here for Nubrak at level 4, helping out. That slow should be able to synergize with Crosby on his own level 4, that target acquired. So that's a nice little pickup. And of course, you'll be able to get the slow from Leoric with that big swing.
So you have a lot, and this is really one of those instances where Trick, with the level 4 talents, already signaling that they feel they can chase a lot here, that they can gain momentum during these fights. But it's still noteworthy that the silence that we saw from Stukov turned that last fight, because originally we had Anubarak diving in and trying to interrupt it for as long as he could. If that silence doesn't come through at some point, Zealots is very likely to not take the camp, and they would probably have lost even more heroes, maybe not even gotten that kill.
Zealot's going to take this Punisher, but Trick Esports intends to train out a fort as they head to this top right corner. Everyone from Zealots are actually rotating up to try and defend it. Maka's going to spend the time to take out that well before leaving. And Trick Esports opens a wall and should be able to rotate down and help clear it out.
Varian is actually rotating aggressively here at the side. Mopsio is waiting and the rest of the team is moving in. Seeing him now, and here comes the move against Marke. He's trying to get away and barely does so. Was tethered, is able to move out though. Great job by Mopsio in the first place with the anchor and everybody rotating in time, but then also a good escape on the side of Drake.
I was wondering why he didn't actually try to go for Phoenix on the back left. Phoenix not having the disengage that Genji has. He would have had Maiev come over the wall and try to kill him.
I think it was a bit rough for him to actually get to him because there was already a scout happening. He couldn't have waited out for much longer in that case. Level 7 for Phoenix, combat advantage. Again, the level 1 and the level 7 talents seem to be pretty much set by most of the Phoenix players that we've seen so far. Crosby, the third one to play Phoenix here today. And outside of that, the silence again. Stukov just getting that in, and the kill comes through. And Nuburak is dead again. Now, the Beetle, of course, provides a lot of fantastic tools here in team fights, but at the same time, he's also suffering from being a bit more squishy than a lot of his fellow warriors at that front line.
ADRD got so many resets in that fight, too. I think he had a total of 4.
Yeah.
Being able to chunk down his opponents, the silence, as you mentioned, making it harder for Esports to disengage from that fight. Maiev just getting a heavy amount of value in these fights. Being pretty up front with wanting to force their opponents to fall apart, and Zealots now able to grab their night camps and move over to their opponent's each camp. Can they attempt to grab it with Rimmer already on the side checking the butts? They're going to play it safe, but at least to get middle lane pushing in.
It's all about Stukov and the silences here for now. Crosby is able to warp away again, barely, but you can really tell that whenever Shad gets the drop on him that he's in trouble. And the same is true for Genji, and there's the taunt. Really, the level 4 until level 10 is one of those big factors. This is really when Varian absolutely shines. And later on in the game, you can oftentimes try and capitalize on his lower hit point pool and his lower survivability that we have now after the changes, after the rework. But the momentum that Zealots have already built here is, of course, fantastic for them. Being an entire level ahead, having the level 10 abilities is great. Shad providing vision for the camp so that the well gets attacked and focused here immediately. Great little move by them. And of course, Mopsio is anchoring that play to make sure that no one can attack Shad. So they take the fountain out with the camp. Great play by them. And they want Crosby.
Might be able to get it too. ADR goes in, gets a tether. Mopsio goes in for Genji and gets the taunt. Oh, to having 2 targets. They spread their CC. After Export is able to get out. Had they just communicated, okay, let's grab one, would have been fine.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think they could have gotten to Phoenix. He immediately warped out. Once that he saw Maiev coming in, that was an immediate warp out. I don't think that Varian can really bridge that space in time to get the taunt in here. But yeah, that was still a nice move by Zealots, and it could have resulted in a kill there for sure. But here comes now the level 10 abilities. And Alex holding it back. I don't think he's going to go for much here, but he might.
Rimmer goes in, uses that burrow charge, drops on the MPL2. Mopsio entombed in. And next, the damage will come out. He gets focused. He's trying and taunt his way out, or at least move forward with that war charge, but unable to do so.
Yeah, and Phoenix gets the kill, and immediately as we had the Entomb in play, the first thing that happens is that Phoenix goes straight for the Purification Salvo, and that did good work here with the rest of the team, of course, chipping in on top of that. They get the kill against Varian and exploit exactly that lack of survivability, or that reduced survivability that we talked about earlier. But now, of course, the counter-engage, as we have Leoric in trouble. Hanzo is following him. He's trying to chunk Leoric down, and Leoric barely surviving for now, but Chris isn't done yet.
But he's buying time. Genji and Phoenix has already started to clear out this Arcane Punter to the top. Leo can spooky his ghost his way up to the top. The main issue is that the bottom lane is being pushed in, but if Trick Esport is able to win this Punisher phase, it won't matter too much because they can push in the top lane they've already made weak.
Yeah, they have a good chance of going for it because, as you said, Leoric is going to be back in just a few seconds and he's already positioning himself in the back, but they can't lose Marke before that happens. Marke gets out on Genji, but the Zealots are about to take lead in the minion counts. Alex is in, and they're trying to see if they can land that Entomb again. Alex on the move already. Here comes the AoE pressure, 30 taken by Zealots, and the arrow is home. Here comes the cage, the silence, and the kill against Phoenix. Yes, they confirm it.
The Warden's Cage and the Silence just deadly there, and it looks like Hanzo is also going to be able to get out of the cocoon. Trick Esports loses one target on their side. I thought they were going to lose more. I can't believe they actually got away from that. But Zealots easily take that team fight and then grab the Punisher and aim to push top lane.
Two at the top, Grand Paquette and Marke. They are the ones who are trying to defend here now, but that's going to be very rough. And they already start falling back here. They don't want to be in range of Varian when he starts moving in. And this is, of course, also an Arcane Punisher. Very difficult to defend. Tricked instead immediately went down to the bot in the mid lane and said, guys, we need to counter pressure. We need to try and make sure that we push these waves out so that we get experience, because Zealots is already grabbing their 13. And at this point, the fort is, of course, forfeit, as they are already attempting to defend at the keep wall.
Yep, it's just a fort, so good for them here, as the keep wall will take a little bit of damage, but Trick Esports holds that, and they're working on 13 themselves, with Nubrak in the middle and Leo on the bottom. And Trick has started to realize, okay, Zealots are looking to set up a gank a few times here in the game. They've done it 3 times, it feels like, so we're going to go ahead and just play it safe, but ADR deep in the bottom, not playing safe, as Trick comes in for an Entomb and gets a kill.
That was a bit awkward for Zealots, because they were the ones who were trying to set up a trap for Phoenix. But Crosby never really went through the direct path and instead took the safer route. Very impressive here too. Playing absolutely heads up, no vision on the map, and says, okay, let's play this smart, let's not fall into any traps here. And then, as you said, in the meantime, Maiev herself gets caught. Another attempt to get the camp here. All right, being cautious. They know that Maiev isn't there, so there's very little chance that Zealots is going for that big team fight. But 13 is now ready, and that means again Ominous Wraith trying to reduce the damage output, especially at that front line. We have Ice Block to keep to keep Grand Paquette a bit more in play, and even more AoE through Burning Rage for those wave clears.
Did you see that? The Shattering Throw of Crosby completely deleting his shield. Mopsy just toss it out, and he can. That level 13 pickup there from him on Varian. Again, being able to activate throw does a total of 2,500 damage to shields, so pretty exciting to see that. Will he be able to get that taunt and force a fight so?
At a 30-second cooldown.
Yeah.
So that's actually the impressive part here. So you can really just absolutely throw that out and always put the pressure in. So that's going to make it even more difficult for Crosby. But let's talk also a bit about, well, let's wait for a second, because no, that doesn't quite catch. But yeah, in terms of damage output, we have Phoenix, the main damage dealer right now, for Trick with 13,000. But if you put that into the perspective of what we've seen on the other side of the map, 28k by ADRD on Maiev, and 22,000 from Chris on Hanzo.
Phantom Knives.
Yeah, Phantom Knives, absolutely brutal, especially when the resets that we saw earlier, that big team fight, he got a lot of damage out on Maiev. But at least we have 2 kills through Phoenix, so in this game here, the setup that we are seeing is a bit more effective to put the spotlight onto Phoenix than what we've seen from the Zealots earlier.
I'm just kind of curious to see how much he can do now with that 13 coming online. Mopsio has kept him under target consistently, willing to use that Shattering Throw. Trick Esports will have to force a fight and try to put Mopsio under a little bit of pressure before Phoenix can even step up and apply more damage.
Especially since we now have the auxiliary shields taken again. So now you reduce your hit points, but you increase the shield amount. And that's, of course, what Mobsio specifically targets. A lot of this is also that the basic auto attacks are restoring your shield, but it's still an interesting trade-off that we are witnessing with this.
Well, Trick Esports looking to maybe get a fight here as Alex Pro G is bobbing around, looking to grab that Entomb. Wants to try and force something. Doesn't want to do it on ADRD, of course, because he has that disengage. ADRD actually uses it, and we're going to have a fight break out. Crosby comes in, brings out a little bit of damage, goes in for the Plasma Cutter, and they're going to find a kill on ADRD.
Great kill here. Phoenix delivering with the Plasma Cutter once again. The fight isn't over yet. Icebook had to be used by Grand Paquette to move out of it. Mobsio, on the other hand, gets drained hard. And that is starting to become a very awkward spot for Zealots to be in. Zarmony also moving out. A lot of slows, of course, delivered again. And we've been talking about how Phoenix is trying to capitalize on all those slows. And Phoenix is starting to put the works in. 18,000 damage by Crosby. Definitely taking the top spot for his team here.
Make staying on the side while Zarmony is able to grab a couple of these minions, trying to buy some time for Miami to come back into the fight. Zarmony is spinning as Make moves in to put some damage out. Chris on the back left finds Make and puts a decent amount of damage. 29 to 14 as the two continue to trade. Grapagate goes in with the Twilight Dream, will land it on Varian, but Mobsio continues to fight.
The fight is not over yet. MIF is starting to go in. They want this, but only 3 more stacks, and then we're going to see that Punisher for Trick Esports. And they're getting it. Do they get Mobsio too? That's the question. The Entomb, but Zarmony moves away from it easily. Make goes in deep. They try to move for Mobsio, but Remabola is low. Had to commit quickly to the cocoon and does so. Gets the shield. This is ADRD falling again as Make goes in, gets the kill, confirms the double with a quick kill against Varian. And here comes the Purification salvo from Phoenix. Not dropping a third, but a fantastic position for Trick Esports now.
Meanwhile, top lane is being pushed in by that Night Camp that was grabbed earlier. It's doing some damage on that keep wall, so Zelt's going to go there and clear that up. But that allows Trick Esports to get aggressive here in the middle, and they are going to break down this side wall so they can get an aggressive push in. Rimmer willing to move in at any point for a burrow charge. Zealots have to be careful. If they lose one more member here, Trick Esports could go for a core.
Arsenal overcharge taken on 16 for Phoenix now. It's all about the cooldown reduction. 0.5 with the attacks that you have, with the basic attacks. So he's trying to get that Plasma Cutter into play. He's trying to make the plays right now, and they are getting the keep. At this point, Trick is looking good. Zealots had a nice lead here around level 10, but as we said before, now Varian is struggling a bit more. His power spike on level 4 is fantastic around the taunt. It allows you early game pressure, but then later on in the game, he's starting to fall a bit off in the main tank position, which is one of the reasons why we oftentimes see him as that second tank instead of the first spot.
The good news is, with 16 hitting, Banner of Iron Forge does come out from Mobsio, going to make it a little bit easier for him to be a bit more tanky. Brings that 20 armor, of course. Banner he can toss down, so Zealots still feeling a little bit confident on the map, even moving down here, grab the Night Camp, even willing to maybe commit to this fort as well, as they want to stay pretty close to experience, as Zealots are trying to get towards their 18, while Trick Esports is about to hit it.
Yeah, once again, Crosby needs to be careful here. We've been talking a lot about Phoenix, and this is really the first game where it feels that he is the hero to watch out for. In all the previous games, the impact that he had for the Zealots wasn't quite as big. 27,000 now for Crosby, the damage output. Still, if you compare it to Hanzo, it's just a shadow of what we've seen Chris put out. 42k. But, of course, Hanzo has a very different damage output than what we're seeing from Phoenix. Those scatter arrows always get up a lot of random damage that doesn't really translate into anything. We've seen Chris with a couple of great moves in this game, good kills confirmed by him as well, but that's always a bit of a different set of damage that we have here.
Sonya shows in the middle lane, she has to clear up the catapult, so Trick Esports move in for an aggressive fight. Red Walk comes out just to make sure Leorg doesn't get locked down. Thinking about maybe popping out that Entomb, as Sonya continues to hold this middle lane, but the idea was to break open this wall. With the next Punisher being in the south lane, if Trick Esports grabs this, they'll be able to push in and start looking for that keep.
Yeah, of course, if they can get another keep, that would be great for them here. But already at that bot lane, again, another sharking around. It's all about the 20 at this point. You really would love to get that. If you can get a kill, it would be great. They're already looking to potentially drop ADRD once more. Alex is moving in. Needs to be careful, though, because Mobsio wants him here.
Alex Aproji baiting out the idea of going for an Entomb on the bottom lane, but it was also Trick to move into the middle lane and force a fight. Zarmony is just fine, though. In fact, he wants to fight. He He drops down a spear after the Wrath with ADRD coming in here to grab a target. They're looking to force something, but Mafio can't find that taunt.
That was a good disengage by Trick though, because Zealots really was going for that big belly flank, and they didn't quite get it. But here comes the taunt. They're trying to go for Alex. Alex immediately with the ominous Wraith once again. He barely survives for now, and good hits again by Crosby. And that of course helps him with his quest talent. The advanced targeting on level 1. He's sitting at 50 stacks at this point, which is actually pretty impressive for him, because so far we haven't really seen too many stacks coming in on that end with the build that Phoenix players have chosen.
Sonya had to peel off finally to deal with that top lane, so the rest of the Zealots help her out. And as we move into this second shrine, there's going to be 19 hitting for our team.
Yeah.
So Tricked Esports already heading down, but we're not at 20 yet. This is actually going to be the closest fight of the game.
Yeah, this is also a fun game so far. The entire series was already great, but now we're going into another big team fight here, and both of the teams are already in the spot. Crosby trying to get the AoE damage in against the minions on the shrine, but look at Zarmany. He is trying to get that spear, and if at any point he can go for it, he will, and he's trying to do that, but immediately Crosby reacts and whops out of them.
But Zealots are in the lead, 19 to 15. Trick has to make a play soon. Alex steps up and wants to pop out a cleave. At the same time, Rimmer's around the corner, wanting to move in for a possible cocoon on Shad. There goes the burrow charge. He gets taunted instantly. Zarmany falls to X-Strike.
The X-Strike takes him apart. Remapol is also in trouble now, though. He's trying to move away. Got tell that Cocoon is still on the ground, but the death of the Beetle makes it a 4 versus 4. Mobstio with a charge. He's trying to get out, but Crosby is closing in and drops him fast. Phoenix with another kill as Mobstio moves forward. Medivh goes down, but Hanzo just absolutely destroys Phoenix.
Gotta love the scatter arrow. Hanzo able to grab that kill, and Trick Esports pulls back, and they frantically try to grab this shrine. With Shad on the side and Chris as well, they're in a spot where they could steal a few of these shots away, but decide to go ahead and play it back. With 2 members down for Trick Esports and 3 for Zealots, 20 connects, and Trick Esport will be able to grab this Punisher.
And with a 20, you just can't move anymore, because Entomb is going to be up in another few seconds, and with Buried Alive there's just no way to take it down. When we saw Hanzo taking apart Phoenix, it was a great kill there. There were no shields available anymore on Phoenix. He was trying to chase, trying to deliver the final blow, couldn't quite make it happen, and then Chris went for the counter kill. But Sonya, she dropped so fast there, especially with the X-Strike. She had nowhere to go. She was just locked down by the Entomb, and then Maka delivered again.
And it looked like a fight Zealots was going to win, too. With the Warden's Cage coming down, locking down a couple of targets. Zealots were on the spot. We're like, okay, if we fill in a couple of kills, we should be able to start snowball on this. The big pickup from Genji helping out, and I love Trick Esports right now. Playing it safe, grabbing this Punisher at 39, waiting for all 5.
There was even a chance for Nubarak surviving in the last one. It wasn't the cage that was a problem, the tether was the issue. If you can wait the tether out and then moves out, he might just barely survive here. But he was, of course, heavily pressured. And now a nice delay by Tricked on the Punisher, grabbing it late to allow the rest of the team to move in. They want to keep here. But there is also a push at the top lane that is going to eventually push out. Shouldn't really result in a keep taken, but it could. It's definitely a big push that's happening here. But of course, right now, Tricked is hoping for even more, because this is a situation where with a good Entomb, it could end the game.
Yeah, I'm actually worried about that top lane push. It looks like Trick Esports is wanting to possibly end this game, as you were mentioning. Alex Proji looking in for that Entomb. Wrath going to be popping up there. Sonya being in a spot where she can go in for a spear. Crosby steps up and drops down the Plasma Cutter. Already put some damage in.
Yeah, Alex missing the Drain Hope here, but they definitely want to end this game. Already, damage comes out. There's a good chunk here. Maiev goes down. Alex is starting to move in. They want to go for core here. They don't care about the top keep. They try to go for core. A fantastic shove by Shad. Wow, completely putting Leoric out of the fight, but the core is already falling.
Doesn't matter, yeah, the core is falling. It's down to 80, and Trick Esports in a spot where they can actually beat the Zealots. The core continues to fall, down to 50, down to 40, down to 30. Maka and Crosby is applying all damage, and Trick Esports is able to get a victory over the Zealots with a 3-1.
Tricked is such a silly team.
That's silly as a word.
They are just a bunch of dummies. I mean, seriously, think about it. They come into 2018, we're gonna be tryhards. We're gonna absolutely dominate right now. We are training more than we ever have. We want to go to the offline events. Doesn't work out, they get beaten down, and then when the Grand Packet comes in and says like, well, just one against leftovers, just trying to learn a couple of things, because let's face it, probably we can't really do too much here. And all of a sudden, they just take out the team that has basically just said, we are the #2, the maybe even the #1 in Europe in a few days, a few weeks. So, and they take him down with a 3-1. They look fantastic doing it. Is this just a team that can't handle pressure?
Yeah, it's a team that somehow they need to figure out how to eliminate pressure, because whenever they have it, it just seems like they fall flat, right? They circle that drain,
yeah.
They look like a team that seems lost. And then whenever they become officially lost, I'm like, well, we got nothing else to do. They just dominate and win their series. They just took down Zealots, who right now are in contestant for the top 2 here in Europe, the top 3. That's incredible.
Exactly. Like, Tricked is such a weird team, and it really feels that every single time there's no pressure, they just perform. And that's of course a phenomenon that we've seen a lot of times, but with them, it puts it to a completely different level, I feel.
And they deliver today. Still can't believe it. Beating the Zealots, showing off some Phoenix gameplay.
It's not only that they beat them, it's also how.
Yeah.
And they just played. I feel like the Phoenix play that we saw from Crosby, and nothing trying to take it away from any of the players like AD and Chris that played it for the Zealots, but I think the entire team playing around Phoenix, that worked way better when we looked at Trick than it did for their opponent. A lot of good kills here. So Phoenix ending up with 46,000 damage here, as you could just see on the board, but also with 4 kills. He also delivered a lot of really good shots, Crosby that is, where Maka could then capitalize on it with Genji moving in, getting a kill, and even at times a reset.
Yeah.
So that just, the entire synergy during the draft worked out way, way better for Tricked Esports than it did for ADRD and the Zealots. And if you put that in context, ADR is usually the player that makes a lot of the meta happen, or that has usually the drafts where everyone says drafting against him is so difficult because they always seemingly end up with a draft that seems to be in their favor.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where Phoenix goes from here, because it seems like double support compositions today at least didn't work out as much for him. It seems like he is a hero that fits into a comp that has somebody that can be annoying and demand attention, say, listen, look at this hero instead, and allow Phoenix to kind of show away from the side. Because in the first series, he just got completely eliminated a few times. Whenever you had like a double support Vala, you didn't mind take some damage because you had the cleanse available, but we'll see as Phoenix continues to evolve here at the HGC. Let's go ahead and check in with Alex here, as Tricked Esports gets a victory. Alex, congratulations on your win against the Zealots. We got to ask you, man, is your team just allergic to pressure or something? Because it feels like when there's nothing going on, when nothing's on the line, you guys dominate.
I mean, you know when you have 20% win rate in scrims that you're just going to stomp the tournament, dude. Yeah. It's so easy.
Speaking of how easy it was, you guys didn't run it down mid today that much, actually. You showed off a lot of...
My team... Oh, no.
Oh, no, they did.
I was playing Leoric. I had no devs in both games, and my team ran it down.
And how does that make you feel, Alex?
I was actually a bit upset, to be completely honest.
Wow.
I was like, can you guys stop dying? And then they stopped dying and we won.
Wow. Incredible strategy from you.
I love the shot calling.
Great coaching. Over to Caldor.
Yeah, I really think the shot calling is great. Stop dying and win the video game. That's how you guys did it. Talk to me a bit about Phoenix. You guys didn't have the highest priority on him in drafts. You signaled the entire time, hey, if you want Phoenix, just take it. And Zealots didn't quite have the impact with him that they were hoping for. But then you played him against Varian, and even with, of course, the level 13 Shattered Throw coming through, Crosby actually delivered. Got a lot of damage in that Maka could capitalize on with Genji. What do you think about Phoenix, and do you feel Zealots overvalued him a bit?
I think the problems with the way they picked Phoenix is they picked him in situations where they were in the back foot, and we were the aggressors. When you have Phoenix, I think it is very, very important that you ever run a down setup, like Leoric and Genji, for example. Because otherwise you just stand behind and you fucking wait and you do nothing.
Okay, thank you. Another question. When we look at, like, what is it... You've been talking a bit about how you felt your team was running it down at times and you told them to stop dying, but the argument still stands. There was no pressure on you guys, and now you start to win your series. Why does that happen? Why is all of a sudden, what was different today than it was in the previous weeks? Was it just that through Phoenix the drafting got changed, or is there some mentality on your guys' side where if there's a lot of pressure on you, you struggle to perform?
I think Zealots didn't perform very well, and that was like a big reasoning behind it. But I still think our team atmosphere right now is fucking amazing. Oh, I cannot say that word again. But our team atmosphere is very, very good. And we are laughing. Like in scrims right now, we're just having a laugh. When we are 2 levels behind, we call each other out for feeding and stuff. Like, it's great.
Okay, so last question. Who's the biggest feeder on Tricked Esports?
Today it was Rimmer Bowler, no question.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, your weekend is still pretty tough. On Sunday, you face off against Dignitas. How is Trick going to perform on Sunday? Do you even know?
No.
Okay. Well, I look forward to your match. We'll see that on Sunday. Go take some rest here. Prepare for that match. I want to have a good one. But before I let you go, shout-outs are always yours, buddy.
Thank you to Tricked Esport. A special thanks to everybody in Twitch chat writing #GetTricked. We very much appreciate it. And yeah, cheer for us on Sunday.
All right, looking forward to it. Alex the Pro G coming in with another big victory as they take on the Zealots and win 3-1. Calling out their teammates for feeding, but somehow getting victories. You'll love to hear it.
I just love that kid. He saved me there. No,